Hi, thanks for joining us again on Power Wheel, TCN's weekly program on activities by operators and stakeholders in Nigeria's electricity supply sector to improve electricity supply in the country. I am Sheung Olagunju. You're welcome. In its bid to safeguard the company's infrastructure for a more reliable and stable national grid, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has made a move to remove all unnecessary materials and activities that compromise the integrity of the transmission towers and lines, thereby affecting quality flow of electricity supply to end users. To this end, the interim managing director of TCN, Usman Good Mohammed, visited the Lagos region to find lasting solution to the menace.
The MD called for the intervention of the Lagos state government to provide support in sanitizing transmission lines for better and safer service delivery.
This is definitely going to compromise the integrity of tower, and that will, if the tower is compromised and it collapses, it means that supply to entire Apapa, which will Apapa and environment will be out of supply. And also, this line also takes supply to support the capacity that is coming from Aja through the 330 double circuit line to Alagbon. So the whole supply that is taken from this area will be jeopardized. And if you look at the way they are doing this work, if there's even a problem with the tower, it means that it will be very difficult for maintenance team to come to that place and maintain the tower. So this is a big problem for the area, and I think it is important for us to come and see it. And I see it now. I'm going to call the Commissioner of Energy of Lagos, who happened to be a friend. We are actually working very closely with Lagos State Government. We will ask him to ensure that the Commissioner of Environment clear this place and ensure that the place is permanently maintained away from this refuse and from this miscreant.
The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, had earlier spotted refuse and waste materials being dumped and burned under transmission towers in Lagos during a tour of the region.
Kano Electricity Distribution Company covers 3 states, namely Kano, Katsina, and Jigawa State. We operate over a coverage area of over 67,000 square kilometers. Oh, absolutely, we have. In terms of there are 3 cardinal areas, that I have set myself as an objective. One is in terms of improving the customer service, customer experience. And how do you do that? First and foremost, you have to change the psyche of the customer. You have to change the way you treat the customers. Compared with what it used to be under the PHCN. We now see the customer as the king, providing the needed revenue for us to improve on our services. And as a result, we also have to improve our relationship, our services to that customer by ensuring that we resolve his problems promptly. If he has reported a fault, we make sure that we resolve that fault and also give him a feedback on that fault resolution. If there's going to be an outage, planned outage on our network, we are going to inform him in advance that there's going to be an outage for a number of hours so that he can plan for an alternative source of power supply. And in terms of the easiness in terms of the payment of his bills, we have provided a lot of platforms to help him pay easily to the company. So in this case, I think we have done a lot. In terms of the investment that we have brought, so far we have spent over 7 billion naira, both on our network improvements and metering that we have brought into the network. We have tried to improve on our capacity for taking more load from the TCN, and you do that by building more substations. We have built quite a number of substations, like the one you have seen today that we have commissioned, which is the Dakatas small scale. This substation has cost KEDCO about 350 million naira to build, and we have also improved on building new feeders and also extending our services to areas that were not covered in the past. We have done that in Farawa. We have done that in the industrial side. There is a new feeder that we have built at the industrial side, which is named after my name. This has tremendously improved the customer experience from that side, and it has also improved on the revenue. To tell you the truth, now with the effort of the TCN, we have seen massive improvement in supply. The average supply that we have on our feeders ranges from a minimum of 14 hours to 23 hours on our industrial feeders. In the past, Kano does not record maximum of 6 hours or 4 hours. This is in terms of the number of hours of supply. If you translate that to the megawatts, in the past, the supply to Kano by the TCN was below sometimes 100 megawatts, at most 150 megawatts. But I think over the last few years, and especially the last 1 year, we have seen tremendous improvement in terms of the supply. On average, we are taking over 250 megawatts hour. And this, as I said, has impacted in the number of hours that our customer gets supply. A satisfied customer is always a good indication of how well you deliver your services. So I can tell you without a doubt that the customers that we serve within our areas of our catchment areas are satisfied, but we can do more. We can improve, certainly. If our goal is to see that we have a 24-hour supply, and with the efforts that are being made by the ministry, by the regulator, and by the TCN itself in terms of increasing their capacity, I believe that, and with also the investment that we're doing in our network, will in the not too distant future, we are going to have a situation where we have the 24-hour service, supplied to our customers. I think that is the ultimate. Metering is very, very important, and we have seen it in terms of improvement that we have seen in our revenue collections. As a company, we are already under obligation to meter about 100,000 customers per annum. This is our obligation, and we already have brought in about nearly 70,000 meters, which is being put across the entire region, and we have seen a tremendous, as I said, improvement in terms of the number of people that are vending, which has increased the revenue profile of the company. It is also important in order to have that customer trust, because if a customer knows that he's paying for the energy that he consumes, then it is better for you as the supplier, him as the user and payer of the service, to have a very respectable interaction. There wouldn't be, allegations or accusations that he's being overcharged or he's paying for non-existent services, as some customers are claiming. So I think metering is very, very important, and the effort that the government is doing in terms of trying to provide meters for the discourse, on a commercial terms, I think it's a welcome development. I quite appreciate the effort of the minister to do that. Of course, that will now, ensure that the discourse must live up to their responsibility. For me, in KEDCO, there's not much impact in the short term, because I've done a SWOT analysis of the eligible customer declaration. I have seen that in the short to medium term, I do not see the threat as envisaged, by that declaration, because I have very few customers that are clustered, and that that declaration will make me to lose those customers. But however, I see the challenge in the long term, whereby people will look at that and take advantage of the lack of supply to that. And if you look at, on the positive note, it is a better proposition for us, for discourse, because if you look at the position of the law on that, in terms of the regulation, these are customers that you not on your existing supply, but if there are additional supply, that you generate, and you put them on terms and conditions to be mutually agreed. That means they are going to pay a different tariff from what they are paying at the moment, which is good for you, if you can supply that energy. So I can say for us, as KEDCO, yes, we welcome the development, and we feel that, in the long term, is going to achieve the desired, effect. We enjoy a lot of cooperation from the TCN staff that are working in my area of coverage. Yes, we have a lot of interface issues, and these issues are being addressed jointly by us and the TCN. For example, one of the interface issues that we have is the transformer that we have at the Kumboso transmission station. That we lost 150 MVA for the last 2.5 years, and it is only now that this problem is being resolved by the TCN after taking such a long time. However, on the other fronts, in terms of load allocation, in terms of wheeling the power to where we want it to be, actually, we're having a lot of cooperation, because in the past, the TCN used to dictate where your power goes to. And after complaining, I think they listened that this power belongs to the discourse, and the discourse should actually, be responsible for where the power should go. And on that note, I believe that we have made a lot of progress. The message I have is that The electricity today is a private good. It's not a public good. So people must pay for the power they consume. If you don't pay as a private good, you are entitled to be excluded from that service. Therefore, I want to call on our customers to ensure that they pay for the electricity they consume. And that is the only way they can help us to improve on our service so that we deliver a quality service to them.
You're watching Power Wheel, TCN's weekly focus on efforts at improving the grid and power supply. You can watch this and other past episodes on our YouTube channel, TCN Power Wheel, and please subscribe to get updates. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also visit our website, www.tcn.org.ng. We'll be back shortly. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, has vindicated the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, decrying the comments by the Managing Director of Egbin Power PLC, Mr. Dallas Peavy, to the 8-member congressional delegation from the United States that weak transmission infrastructure had stalled the evacuation of 700 megawatts of electricity from the power station. Mr. Fashola, who made this known in his remarks at the 19th edition of the Power Sector Stakeholders Meeting hosted by the Eco Electricity Distribution Company, Lagos, stated that PV lied when he told his visitors that the power station could not evacuate 700 megawatts, stressing that the federal government was constantly working to maintain records accurately and transparently in the power sector.
According to the minister, as at the time of the statement, Egbin's peak and average power production was put at between 344 and 336 megawatts, meaning that the company did not even generate 700 megawatts to be injected into the national grid.
When Mr. Peavy told his employers that that TCN could not evacuate 700 megawatts from Egbin, he was lying. At the best, he was being bombastic. We know this because our government is constantly working to maintain records accurately and transparently in the power and other sectors. Therefore, on the 2nd of September, around the time when the news was reported, around the time when the senators visited, Egbin's peak power production was 344 megawatts. Their average production was about 336 megawatts. So whether it was the peak power or the average power, it was clearly less than 700. They didn't have 700 megawatts to put on the grid at that time.
During the meeting, Mr. Fashola also used the occasion to commend the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, for the issuance of regulations on the mini-grid while imploring the stakeholders to cooperate with them to fast-track the completion of the regulation for metering services provider and eligible customers.
Let me commend the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission for their issuance of regulations at our last meeting relating to the mini-grids, and I'm told it is beginning to bear some results of registration and licensing, because the vice chairman informed me that a solar-based mini-grid facility will be commissioned in Kigbe community, Kwali local government, FCT Abuja this morning. It is a 20 kilowatt facility that will power 145 households and 5 businesses. And the developer is a company called Heaven Hill Synergy Limited. So I pray that they take their consumers to heaven. I'm also aware that there is another solar facility scheduled for completion and commissioning in Kano Shop. I will only implore stakeholders to cooperate with NEC to fast-track the completion of the regulations for metering service providers and eligible customers. They will ultimately help us to distribute the over 6,000 megawatts of power that we are now able to deliver, out of which we are currently only able to distribute about 4,000 because of some of the problems at distribution level.
The minister, however, maintained that the government was open to useful and practical suggestions and is committed to support the entire value chain to deliver the promise of privatization.
Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has lauded the rise in electricity generation capacity to 6,619 megawatts, noting that the next step is to tackle distribution problems. Speaking at the Guardian Business Summit in Lagos, the minister said the about 1,000 hydropower capacity available with the rains from Jeba, Kainji and Shioro hydropower plants, combined with the gas thermal plants, made up the total available power of 6,619 megawatts. He said next step is to solve the distribution problem, and this involves the sustained implementation of the Power Sector Recovery Program, PSRP.
The management of TCN says it has commenced the process of design and standardization of all its substations across the country with the engagement of a consultant to pilot the program. TCN's MD, Usman Gur Mohammed, gave this indication in his opening remarks during a meeting with the consultant and stakeholders from the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, NDPHC, and field engineers at TCN.
Mr. Mohammed noted that the design and standardization of TCN equipment has become necessary in view of the amount of money and time spent by different consultants with no uniformity. He disclosed plans for the training of TCN engineers in the latest techniques in design and standardization by the consultant, and directed that the communication and SCADA should be incorporated into committee for the project.
The intention is for them to work with our design department so that they can produce this design, so that this design is our design, it's not design of the consultant. So that was how the man came, Abi. When he came now, we said, okay, we have to change the scope of the contract. In the initial contract, I think it's only 1 week they will be in Nigeria. He has already spent 1 week here now. So we said, change the scope so that they will come and stay here for 2 months and do the design with us and do the training here. This is how it is conceived. So that's how we brought this man, and we insist that the thing has to happen here. Let's incorporate communication and SCADA member into this into the committee.
In his presentation, the consultant, Engineer Tarana Takaka of Ehom Econ Private Limited of India, stated that the company has visited 3 substations in Apo, Kukwaba, Katampe, and all in Abuja, and made its observation and expressed readiness to render the needed service to TCN.
Whatever I could see during my visit to different substations, I have taken snaps, and I would like to highlight what all problems I could see during my visit to different substations. So these issues are related to planning of the substation, design engineering, the installation part, the construction part, testing and commissioning part, operation and maintenance, material of construction, and safety.
Speaking after the presentation, participants aired their views and charted the way forward.
You cannot have one specific design for all areas. The best way out is to train us perfectly well, give us AutoCAD, give us all the cards you mentioned, so that we can design on our own, taking all these parameters into consideration.
We have to be very careful how we choose the consultant. Like, you can make your design also. Then after 5, 6 years or 10 years, there will be development, and people will notice that maybe there are flaws in also design you are making. So I think TCN should just, we should commend our design department.
If we are going to have seamless breakers on in a particular station, let us add them. If it is Aston, we know it is Daston. So that at the end of the day, we will spend less.
And that's it on Power Wheel for now. Remember to subscribe to TCN Power Wheel on YouTube and watch this and any other past episode of the program. As we leave you, remember, vandalism of transmission or any other power equipment is sabotage. Desist from it. I am Sheung Olagunju. Thanks for watching.